The way of Will John.
I understand there's a lot of the situations for why, a woman could find herself, or a girl could find herself in this position. But is it worse than it was, or what's going on?
I think it's increasing. To be really honest with you, I think it's increasing, and there's so many reasons for it. But again, you have to look at it in terms of women being a product or a commodity. And if you compare it, for example, to drug smuggling, is drug smuggling getting any less? No, despite all the efforts that everyone is making. No, as long as you have a product and you have a demand for that product, there will be a supply. And I think one of the issues is conflict zones. And there are so many conflict zones in the world. You can just open a map and just stick your finger anywhere and there will have been a war there or a conflict or something. And, the feminists and women who work in those conflict zones, they know that the way war affects women and girls is really, really worse, I think, in many ways. So Jordan Peterson may disagree with me on this one. Men are the ones going off to fight the wars and they're the soldiers and they're the ones massively dying. Sure. But look at how the women suffer when those men died. How do they survive? What happens to them in those war zones where there's no way to get food, there's no way to work, there's no way to get medical help, anything. And sexual traffickers are predators. They're predators and they're looking for victims. So every time you have a conflict zone, you're creating victim after victim after victim, widespread across villages, across towns, and the traffickers are waiting. They're just waiting for these opportunities. They'll grab orphans. They'll grab, people from refugee camps. They'll get women. They'll do whatever. Look at what happened in Bosnia, for example. The women there rounded up, taken to...
Tell me, is this after the war? I sit here, speaking to you, not far from Bosnia. I'm in Croatia.
I know.
So, are you speaking after the war? I think I do know. That story now is starting to sound a little familiar to me. Is that what you're referring to? After the war?
This is during the Bosnian War, during the war. Okay. And in fact, after the war, after, the men had been killed off, in huge numbers, there were many Arabs who went and married Bosnian widows, Bosnian women, many very rich Arab men from different countries. And they went and, found these beautiful young wives.
Wow.
And marrying them, that's legitimate. They've been putting a lot of money into reconstruction there. They've been building mosques, so on and so forth. You need to rebuild society, but you have to look at what is the cost of what you're doing. And are women and girls paying those prices?